Hey guys, what's going on? It is the Sleepy Aussie Giant back again, bringing you another Civ video. Now in this video, it's something a little different. I wanted to break down all of the 19 Civs in the game currently, as they stand, including the Aztecs, which you should all have now because that was on a pre-purchase 90-day deal, but whatever that is. So I'm going to go through them, break it down exactly what they are, how they work, what the units are, and what, in my opinion, what the best effort is. But as always, guys, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching the video. And if you did like this video or you want to see more Civ content, let me know in the comment section below. Comment away. Like it if you like it. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and hit subscribe and that little notification bell, and you'll stay up to date with all the information that passes through. So what we'll do is we'll jump straight into it, starting with my favourite and Civ, if not one of the ones I play most, and that being America. And here we have America. America, obviously led by the heroic and historical Teddy Roosevelt. So for their bonuses, they get a unit bonus of combat strength on their home continent. They get bonus tourism for all national parks built. Their special unit is the Rough Rider. It's a mid-game cavalry unit, excellent at fighting on hills, and generates culture from each enemy it kills. So that can add up over time, particularly in that mid-game when you are sort of going in the war. They have a government legacy bonus. Now this is a permanent benefits you gain by sticking to one government type for a long time. Now that's in relation to the civics tree. If you stick to that, you're going to get that bonus, and it unlocks twice as fast. So that's a bonus. During the mid to late game, it's particularly in the atomic era, they've got the P-51 Mustang. It's a fighter with an extended range that's good at killing other fighters, so you can really dogfight it in and get it out of the way. They've got an extra building as well, which is the Shidio District, and that grants a large amount of tourism bonus in the late game. My opinion for a strategy-wise, he's a domination point. You're going to use the guns in the mid-game and to late game to sort of just dominate, particularly on your own continent. And once you have a foothold established, you can have two strong options. You can go on and pretty much wreck everyone else, or you can literally bunker down, go for defense, and just pump a culture to get that culture victory. And next up, we have Saladin from the Arabian Empire. I don't play these guys too much, but it's just not my playstyle. But basically, these guys, they can build religious units faster, and they grant science and culture in addition to faith. Simulating the fact that the Arab world was a leader in science and art throughout the most of the Middle Ages. A bit of history there, but hey. They have a legally binding dibs on the final great prophet to be recruited if they already haven't received one. So basically, you're playing online against AIs, whatever it might be. You haven't got a last prophet yet. Doesn't matter. The last great prophet to be available is guaranteed to be yours. So with that as well, their special unit that they get, it's a medieval cavalry unit that heals after every turn no matter what. So mid game, that can be really useful because you don't have to worry about encamping it or fortifying it to get it to heal. It just does what you need. They also have a Maradasa. It's a special temple that grants science in addition to faith. So if you've got religious districts already in place, throw one of these temples in there as well as their specialty unit, their specialty building, and they get extra science as well. So it's two clear paths that you can run with these in strategy-wise, and that's a science and faith. It's the two strongest paths they've got. You can make use of that special unit in the mid-game to try and pick up some early sort of footholds on land and whatnot sort of things. So basically, in my opinion, you would rush with science and faith early on throughout the entire game, and then use the end game when you've sort of got all that set up just to focus on your military, have a strong defense, and you'll get to whatever you need to do. Next up, we have the Chinese Empire led by Qing Shi Huang. China has always been a big part of this game, and this is they're not exempt from this with Civ 6. They can expend builders to finish early game wonders faster. So if you want to push for that early victory to get that Pantheon going, the Colossus, or those early games, particularly the Great Wall of China for them, they can do it. They get inspirations, which are bonuses towards specific text for completing mini objectives, which they're in the game already. However, China get a 60% boost to that text, opposed to the standard 50%. They also get a Crouching Tiger Cannon. It's a ranged gunpowder unit that's available much earlier in the tech tree than its peers. So they have gunpowder way earlier than other civs, and they can just wreck house with that. From a strategic point of view, China's weird. You could say they could go for a science victory, because they have that ability to sort of early on to sort of push for those early wonders to get your science growing. But if you really want to focus on tech boosting, the sub-objectives is the way to go. Getting those extra Eureka moments coming through. China's really weird because you can basically do whatever you want. You can use the compound district, the encampments, to sort of get your gunpowder set up nice and early and do it like that. You can push faith depending on how you do it. But as long as you get that Great Wall Wonder with these guys, you'll be pretty much going, you can pretty much push for any sort of victory you want. But in my opinion, in Civ 6, unlike others, they're not the strongest contender. And next we have the Scythian Empire, or Cynthian Empire, Tomris. Now, the combat units for her do extra damage when they're attacked and wounded. Or when attacking a wounded enemy, and regain up to half the health if they land a killing blow. So this encourages the type of tactics, just go in and wreck face, and no one left alive, just absolutely wreck house. In addition to sort of that push, they receive an extra free light cavalry or horse archer unit each time they train one normally. So you're basically doubling up on that really early to mid game sort of cavalry units. And that can help out to no idea. With the cavalry units themselves, they have a specialised unit being the Sucker Horse Archer. It's a fast early game ranged cavalry unit, perfect for taking advantage of this ability, because it's early game. You can pump these out, and I think when you get to sort of like the classical era when they come available, I think you can start pumping them at your capital at like 2 to 3 turns a piece, and you're getting 2 for that. So that's monstrous. What they also have in this is the Kurgan improvement. This is part of a district. This basically replaces the faith or the religious district. It must be built on a flat land, and it generates faith, but it also generates gold. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Based on sort of what she does and how she works, it's the simplest thing possible. You are pushing for a domination victory with her. If you're playing random civs like I always do, I never like to pick a civ unless I'm playing online. I only play randoms. That early cavalry, you can just start to wreck house locally before other AIs or other players even know what you're up to. Once you get that in place, you start to push for faith with those extra sort of specialty districts, and you can just build your economy to a point that anyone near you, you could pretty much buy them out. You've got city-states next to you, you can just pay them money to levy their militaries, and you're pretty much on your way. And pillaging the city-states, it's a great source of quick cash should you need to buy units as well. So in my opinion, just get military set up, pump cities out, get those archer units ready to go as early as you can, and hopefully you'll have a domination victory in sort of the early to mid game. And next up we have Pedro II of the Brazilian Empire. He's a little funny. I've never really played these guys too much, but they've got their benefits, that's for certain. First off, they get an instant rebate, not a flat discount, but an instant rebate of 20% of the great person points he spends to recruit a new great person. It's a percentage, so it does vary, and it sort of increases that percentage returns as the game plays on. They get a bonus output of most districts if they're built adjacent or near a rainforest. So if you get a good lineup when you actually build that first civ, make sure you get a rainforest within the district, and you actually get the actual bonuses to the output of the district that you're building on itself. The Mardi Gras, it's a the Minas Graeus, Mardi Gras, a late game range battleship with increased defense and attack. It's going to be average compared to others in the game, but if you are playing these guys, you draw these guys out, mid to late game, you're going to have at least a decent battleship that you can attack at ranged. Finally, they've got the Street Carnival District, which replaces the Theatre District, which is a great population. It allows you to use the city's production output to generate amenities towards great person's points. So it looks like with Brazilian there, you basically are pushing for great people to try and get those Eureka bonuses, all those ones. So yeah, Pedro is all about the great people. And since each great person is unique to the civ, every playthrough is going to be different, so there's no sort of set strategy. Basically, you want to make sure that you're beating other civs on patronage left and right, and don't skip over a particular great person whose bonuses don't support your strategy well. Take whatever you can, because all those points will matter in the end. So you focus on great people with a lot of flexibility to pursue any conditioned victory. So if you want to push for religion, just try and get for them, but don't miss out on great peoples. And great admirals will really help with that mid to late game if you do decide you want to start to control the seas with that specialized military sea unit. And next up, we have Philip II from the Spanish Empire. This one's it's quite clear and concise, and you'll understand when I go through it. Military units gain combat bonuses against units owned by civs following a different religion. Inquisitors, a religious unit, get an extra charge from removing heresy. Bonus gold trade routes between continents. That can actually be really useful early game if you get across. They gain the ability to combine individual ships into a stronger unit called a fleet, which is available much earlier in the tech tree than other civs. Conquistadors are their specialized units. It's a Renaissance infantry, which gets a bonus for being accompanied by a religious, non-combat unit like a missionary, and converts conquered cities to Spanish religion instantly. They also have a specialized district, and it's the mission. It is a replacement for the holy site and generates extra faith when built on other continents. So when you look at all that, it's very clear to see what Spain is good for. Spain is the undisputed religious powerhouse of this game. There isn't another civ in this game that is set up better for a religious victory. Based on you use those conquistadors early, start raiding across nations. Once you capture those cities, A, they're already converted, B, plant a holy site, you'll get the extra bonus for the faith, as well as you'll get the extra bonuses for when it's on a different continent. And trade routes to your own cities across continents, that's going to get you gold. So you're going to be laughing in faith, you'll have the extra gold out of nowhere, and you're on your way to a nice and cruisy religious victory. And next up we have Persicles from the Greek Empire. These guys here, they've always been solid in every Civ game, just like Alexander in Civ 5 before him, he's been solid. They gain a bonus culture for every city-state he's the suzerain of, meaning he's invested more into everyone than anyone else. In every government, regardless of the type, he gets an extra wildcard policy on that government tree menu, which can really help out. He gets an extra specialized unit in the classical era. It's a sort of spearman, a hoplite? I don't know how to say it. I don't know. I'll be honest. But anyway, they fight better when there's another unit of the same type adjacent to it. So early game, build multiple units, send them out in force, and you'll be on your way. Their specialized district is an Acropolis. It must be placed on a hill, and it generates bonus culture for being next to a city or a wonder. Well, next to a city center or a wonder. So this is where that sort of city planning comes into place. Like, you're going to play this guy, you got city-states, you're making friends with them, you're going to need to be pushing it to make sure you've built these correctly to get as much bonus as you can for them. On a strategy-wise, it's pretty simple. You're going to want to bring as many city-states under your wing as you can. Doing so will set you nice for a cultural victory because you have the influence with those city-states already. And you'll have the extra policy slot, which you could use, in my opinion, to sort of something that endeavors extra gold or sort of military concept. So sort of shorten the policy down so you can really start to either gain extra gold or start producing a military while you're still friends with all those city-states. You need to go to war, you've got all those allies ready to go, which you're already suzerain of those city-states, and you'll be on your way. So it can really go any way. Even with religion, you could push it through, so it's pretty much what your playstyle is, you can make Persicles work for you. Next we have the Japanese Empire, led by Hojo Tomokin. These guys have always been strong in every game, and yes, they still have the samurai as their specialized unit. But in addition to that, they get land units, get a large combat bonus when fighting on coastal tiles, and the navy unit gets the same bonuses when fighting on shallow waters. They can build districts faster along coast tiles. The samurai itself, it's a medieval sword unit that just fights as well as at full health as if it was when it was just at 1 health remaining. Towards the end game though, they do get the electronics factory districts, and this district grants a large amount of production to all cities within their center within 6 tiles. Words. So basically with these guys here, just like the real Japan, you want to sort of encourage to build on the coast as much as you can on that coastline, leaving those that inner land space there just for connection cities, just for those trade routes options. stockpile your military units early, stockpile those samurai units, because even towards the late game, or mid to late game, they can still be of use as a defense matrix. Defense matrix. Been playing too much Overwatch, guys. They're still very good at a defense. And also, when you start getting those electronics factories, and you've got a nice, densely populated city set, that production goes through the roof. All of a sudden, you're building stuff for the space race, and you're on your way to a science victory. So keep that in mind, guys. Next up, we have the Sumerian Empire with Nimbemben, better known being King Alfonso of Congo. So this gun's a little weird. I'm still not sure how to play with this character. He can't build holy science or found a religion, but he does get a founder bonus on any religion that exists in a majority of his cities. Okay, he gets the founder bonuses. So basically, if whatever's coming into the city in the majority of it, he gets that bonus. They get bonus food and production in gold for artifacts and great works of art. They generate extra great artists and great merchant points. Their specialty unit they get is a medieval melee infantry unit with a high defense against ranged units, and there's no sight or movement penalties in forest or jungle, so you really want to make sure you don't destroy those extra things. They have the Mombasa district, which is available early and provides food, gold and housing. So, reading that, it sounds like they're average, but I mean, I guess you could do like a pacifist cultural science run. You want to encourage other civs, obviously, to come to your city and sort of spread their religion, which is fine. But at the same time, he's got those medieval units, which other civs don't really have much in the medieval times. That you could sort of really get a head start for a domination victory if you just sort of bulk units and then push them through jungles. Don't just get rid of your jungles and your rainforest around your cities. They couldn't counterattack then, so I mean, I guess it's viable. I just don't personally play him that much. I might have to give it a run. Next we have the Norwegian powerhouse, Harald the Viking himself. Don't really need to go through it. We all know what he can do. He's been in this since Gods of Kings or Brave New World and the recent expansion for Civ 5. But anyway, he has a melee naval unit that can pillage coastal and land tiles. There are no seaside burgs or no seaside house is safe with this dude. Land units pay no movement cost to embark or disembark and gain the ability to cross deep ocean tiles much earlier than any other civ in the game. Their specialty unit is the Berserker. It's a medieval infantry unit that can pillage with less movement costs and gain bonuses when attacking but penalties when defending, so it's all attack, no defense. There is no retreat. Their specialty item or ship they have is the Viking Longship. It's a melee naval unit that can hunker down and heal in friendly or neutral territory. So they can heal without even being in there. They can just be out in the ocean, they can heal up. Obviously they can't do it in enemy territory though, but that's fine. They have the Starved Church. It's the holy district that grants both faith for every adjacent forest tile. Strategy-wise, it's pretty simple. Faith and war. It's their left and right hands. It's been known all throughout history in that regard. With a good spawn position, the Staved Churches can let you get ahead telling the word, telling the good word. And the open seas are yours before anyone else, even England, which has one of the strongest military fleets endgame. You get in there nice and early, start getting trade up and running, get that extra gold come through, funnel it back to the cities, and you can pretty much pick what you want. Domination seems the easy pick, particularly in a smaller game and that early to mid medieval times. Pushing it through sort of towards the sort of the next stage on, which is the Cold War sort of industrial area. You might be able to still push them out, but if you get sort of stuck in the atomic area, you're gonna struggle because they just don't have anything end game to really save them. So rush for a mid to early to mid game sort of domination victory, and you'll be set. Now we have the Sumerians with King Lord Gilgamesh. One of my favourite guys. I just love this guy's attitude in the game from what I've played. I haven't played as him, I've played him against him many times, and just his general attitude is just phenomenal. Basically, his bonuses they get as they stand is the military units share in pillaged resources and XP gains by an allied unit, any distance within 5 tiles. That's pretty good. They don't get a warmongering penalty for declaring war on a civ of one of his allies that's already at war with. So if you're allied with Rome and England attack Rome, you can declare war on England and not pay any penalties, which is really good, because penalties hurt in this game. They get a bonus reward when conquering barbarians. They change basically, but they get different bonuses. Basically like you would if you've played Civ 5, you get sort of extra little things along the way for discovering tribal huts and stuff like that. Their specialized unit is a war cart. It's an early game chariot that doesn't suffer the normal penalties against spearmen. So chariots suffer heavily against spearmen. They lose, I think, 30% of attack damage. War carts doesn't happen. And the last specialized building is a ziggurat. It's a temple that grants science and culture, but only if adjacent to a river. So it again comes back to that city planning. You want to make sure you have a river running through your city. Put that ziggurat there on the temple, and you'll get extra bonus and culture. The Sumerians, you can basically play any playstyle you want. They're strong enough to go for a sort of mid to late game domination victory. They've got the science output there from the ziggurats that they can push in for science or a cultural victory. And again, with religion, you're not going to be able to go up against other strong religions, but if you've drawn right, you started early, there's nothing stopping you getting a faith win either, religious win either. So it's up to you, it's a dime a dozen, play it as you feel. Next we have the powerhouse that is Mahatma Gandhi. He's in every game. The glitch is still there, people. The glitch is still there. If you're not sure about it, the glitch is... It's a piece of code that was stuff up originally in one of the early Civ games, but stayed in. I won't spoil it, but it's still in this game as it stands, so be aware. For the bonuses and the benefits of Gandhi, you get bonus faith for every Civ you've met who has founded a religion, and as long as you're not with war with them. So as long as you're not at war with them, but they have a different faith, you get bonus faith from that, from your particular one. The specialized unit is the War Elephant. It's a specialized melee cavalry unit that reduces enemy combat strength of each unit of its type adjacent to them. So it's powerful. The Steepwell improvement, it replaces the district, and it's the housing district, and it's available very, very early game, granting housing as well as food, as well as an additional bonus resource based on what it's placed next to. And that's luxury or standard. So back to that placement concept, you can get bonus resources just from putting this district down where you're already getting housing and food. With that sort of all round up and what the Gandhi plays best at, the Steepwells will allow you to grow super quick and prosper so much quicker with that bonus food. Your population's going to boom, you'll be able to do a lot more. That being said, that early game with the War Elephants, in my opinion, they're probably one of the strongest overall military units in the game if used correctly. And so with a bit of initial sort of aggression and military warmongering, you can do damage. And then if you just start to cool backpedal a bit and sit down in an easy street, start to make friends with everyone, you'll take advantage of that faith bonus mid to late game, and you'll be set. So either way with Gandhi, it's still golden. Next up, we have the Russian or the German Empire with Frederick Barbarossa. It's pretty clear and cut. He hasn't changed much. Germany hasn't changed in any Civ. The bonuses for them, you'll get one additional military policy slot regardless of your government type. You'll get a combat bonus when fighting units owned by city-states. You can build more districts in the cities than the population would normally allow. That's a big one there because your population is what sets how many districts you can have in the city at once. Having that ability just to have extra ones, you're on set. The U-boat. It is the stealthy naval unit of the atomic era. And the Hansei, it's an industrial district that gains adjacencies from commercial tiles. Now, that's really interesting because the industrial district is the one that creates production for your city, and the commercial tiles creates money. So the more commercial tiles you have, the more money you have, and then putting one of these in, then you'll get bonus adjacencies for both based on this district. As I said, Germany hasn't changed in the way you want to play this Civ, and you want to go for a well-suited domination victory. You've got the early units with the combat bonus against city-states. Overtake city-states, make easy cities. So just absolutely walk over them, take the cities, annex them, extra cities for you. Start building up to have more military units and commerce units. When you're ready to go, just throw in the specialized industrial district towards the mid to late game. You'll be set. Use the actual U-boats when you do get to the atomic era, even if you have to buy them because you'll have generated all the money through the ages. and no one can really touch you. That's stealthy. Those U-boats can absolutely wreck house. They do have the ability to do range attacks, and I believe in this one, I haven't played it sadly, I haven't played the Civ yet, but in previous adaptations of Civ, they were also able to actually attack and capture cities, so keep an eye out for the Germany guys. And next up we have the Egyptian Empire with Cleopatra. Cleopatra, she's in every game and she's always great. The bonuses for the Egyptian Empire, you get trade routes. Trade routes with Egypt start with generating bonus gold. And incoming trade routes from other civs grant bonus gold to Egypt and bonus food to the originator. So what that comes is, if you're playing a multiplayer game, you're more than likely to get a trade route sent to you because they're going to get extra food and you're going to get bonus gold from that. Districts are built faster when they're placed next to a river, and that's regardless of what type of district you have. The Sphinx Improvement, it's an extra wonder. It grants bonus culture if placed next to an additional wonder. And the specialized unit is the Chariot Archer, and it's a very, very fast early game ranged unit, ideal for fighting in open terrain. They do take a negative movement cost on rough terrain or hills, I believe, but on open terrain they are good to go. Strategies wise, early game dominance is always an option. Those Chariot Archers, with good placement of your land, you can actually do some really, really good harassment damage and then sort of bring in some units to back them up. But long term, with the long game, Egypt is all about the trade. Having all that extra gold bonuses along the way will start to add up over turns, and if it does come time to sort of start to build a big military, you've got all the gold to pay the maintenance costs without any changes needed. So you'll be set in that regard. So go for any other victory you want, but I think in the end of the day, with the trade routes, you're going to have to push for domination victory because the culture and the science is going to be outdone by other civs. But yeah. Next up, we have France, led by Catherine de Mercy. This is a weird one. I've had a couple of rounds with her, and I still can't quite get the best way to sort of play. With the bonuses side, they get increased diplomatic visibility with all civs. Now that goes into what I referred to in my previous video in regards to the sort of hidden agendas. She can see it a little bit earlier than everyone else, and she can see a lot more without being so close. She has increased spy capacity in the medieval era, and that increases depends upon what you already have. You get a bonus production towards medieval, Renaissance, and industrial era wonders. The Chateau district is basically an amenities district, and it grants bonus culture when placed next to an existing wonder. And the Grand Imperial is the specialized unit, and it's a Renaissance infantry unit with bonuses fighting on France's home continent. Okay, strategies wise, she's really set up to go with whatever you want. To be fair, based purely on the bonuses that you get, you're really nicely set up to go for a cultural or a domination victory. Early game, through those sort of early medieval Renaissance eras, I would spam wonders as much as you can and take advantage of that Chateau adjacency bonus, making use of the individual abilities of wonders to snag your early strategy. You might also go for a large combat bonus during the Renaissance era if you have enough of those Imperial units, but it's sort of going to be a push because you're not going to, unless you get those good wonders early and good placement on the map, you're not going to have the resources needed for it. So just keep that in mind, guys. Next up, we have the Russian Empire with Peter the Great. I'm not a big fan of Russia generally for the civs. It's very clear cut what they try and do, but I just don't think it's ever really worked. Might change with this one. I will have to give this guy a try. For bonuses wise, newly found cities start with more tiles. You get a bonus faith and production from being on tundra tiles, so the snow tiles. Makes sense there for Russia. Trade routes with other civs provide bonus science if they're ahead of you in tech, and bonus culture if they're ahead of you in civics. So that's really forcing you to sort of make friends early to sort of, if you want to keep up. The specialized cavalry unit for these guys are the Cossacks. They are a gunpowder cavalry unit with better stats and the ability to move after attacking. That can be useful in that sort of medieval time, medieval Renaissance time. The Lavia improvement, expending a great person in a city with one of these also adds a territory to the city. It may be good depending on your playstyle, but for me that doesn't really work. It's just not my type of playstyle. Strategy wise, Religion is a strong option, but the bonus to production you get from Tundra will, you'll basically have flexibility to do whatever you want. If you can get a good placement with a lot of Tundra tiles, you can afford to slack off on the science as long as you keep a couple of neighbours happy with you, skimming off their advancements through the trade routes. The Cossacks are an amazing harassment unit, I guess, and they enable some low-cost conquest, but it's really only viable for the mid-game, so after that, yeah, you're going to struggle, but it's still viable, and I might have to give it a crack. And next up, we have the Queen Mum herself, Queen Victoria of the English Empire. In every civ, and she's always good. The bonuses: gains a free infantry unit of the current era in each city founded on another continent. The red coat is a specialized unit, and it's a Renaissance infantry unit with a large bonus to combat strength when fighting on continents other than English land. They gain an extra archaeologist and house extra artifact, and they can house an extra artifact at each museum. The Sea Dog. It's a superior variant of the privateer, a stealthy naval unit that can capture enemy ships. Capture. And her specialised district is the Royal Navy Dockyard. It replaces the dock in the harbour, and it's a replacement that grants a bonus of movement to naval units that are built there, bonus gold if built on another continent, and increased route trade capacity, and allows units to embark and disembark with no movement cost. Wow. You get a couple of those lying around. Extra trade routes first off to link through. That's extra gold and extra resources all the way through. No disembark and embark costs. And extra movement on naval tiles. Yeah, she is still the naval powerhouse in this game. Basically, strategy-wise, with Queen Elizabeth and Victor of England, what do you want? You want culture, you can push for archaeologists, push that way for tourism. You want to go for victory, you set up a strong naval fleet and you mop the floor with these guys. Science, they're not falling behind either way, you can pump those resources and have the defenses ready to go. And religion is always an option. It's not the strongest one out there, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And last but not least, we have the Roman Empire, Trajan. By far my favourite civ to play until the expansions come out, and if you've known me, if you talked with me, Civ 5 South Korea #1. Love that there, Civ, but in this game, so far the Roman Empire is by far my favourite. Bonus-wise, gain a free building. It's usually a monument in each new city founded. You gain a free trading post in every city, and a free road to the capital if the new city is close enough and not overseas. The classical era unit you get is the Legion, and it's a melee unit with a higher combat strength and the ability to build roads and forts, but it also has a higher upkeep cost and maintenance cost, so keep that in mind. And the unique district you get is the Bath, and essentially this is an aqueduct on steroids. You just get far more bonuses from it. Now, the reason why I play Rome more so than anything else, and the same reason the best strategy for him, is Rome, build wide and tall. You want to found cities, a lot of them, quickly, never stop expanding, just keep spreading as fast as you can, and do it as close as you can to existing cities, because that extra road bonuses and trade routes will just benefit. I've played this game many times, and I might put a little sort of game in the future down here that I've done it. Before I reach Classical Era, with the correct placement and everything like that, I might have 6 or 7 civs and trade routes up and running by the time I can build the road. And yeah, once you have those cities up, transport becomes basically free between all your cities. You've got cities constantly producing anything, so even if you're creating a mediocre sort of number of production or science, when that all adds up, it's just overall. And as long as you can keep food in, which I always do with the trade routes, your city's going to keep growing, keep being profitable, and you'll be on your way. The world's your oyster with Trajan, in my opinion. Pick whichever type of victory you want and just push for it, because it can be done. And that's it, guys. I really want to just bring this through, give you a wrap up of all the new civs that are out, with the bonuses and the extra things like that. It can be really helpful, and I know when I started playing civ, I was needed guides like this. If you like this video, guys, do let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Why don't you comment and tell me your favourite civ and why? I'd love to have a chat with you about that one. That would be really great. Any questions or concerns, hit me up down below. If you want to pick up civ for yourself, it is on sale, and I will put a link in the description below where you can pick it up at a fairly decent price. But as always, guys, Thank you for all the support we're getting in the channel. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Share it out to your friends. It does help me out a great deal. But until then, guys, this has been the Sleepy Aussie Giant, saying see you next time.